strictly devoted to cabbage.
Yeah, welcome to Cabbage Time. My name is Throats McGee.
It's March. It's a big month for us. Cabbage.
That's some corned beef.
Yeah, welcome back to Tough Talk F-150. There.
No, we're not doing that. All right. Pop.
Do you like driving to the middle of the desert?
Only to find out that your father's really your uncle.
Ford.
Ford. It's a truck.
In the shower.
We'll give you a $500 discount on an $83,000 truck. Ford.
All right, well, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Garbage Time. We have a full house plus today. I'm joined by Drew, by Zach. Below me is Sean, who we'll introduce in more depth. I don't know why I started over that.
That's tough.
And then on the very bottom is Chris, Stoffalophagus. How's everyone doing today?
Excellente.
All right. I'm glad.
All right. Hey, I answered you.
That was like when we did the news reporter thing. And I had the great delay going. That's exactly what that felt like. So let's get into the news first. We'll talk about a few more late free agent signings. And then we have something special. Oh, wait, Sean. Sean's a 49ers fan. He is a great friend of mine. Sean, if you want to say anything else about your life and existence, go for it. This is your moment.
Hi, my name is Sean. I feel pretty good about myself today, and I'm a 49ers fan.
All right.
Hi, Sean.
Okay. I'm actually 80. We've discussed this. Yes. I'm 80 years old. That's why you cannot see my face right now. I'm ashamed of the wrinkles.
Kept the vocal cords in great condition, though.
Sean is 80 years old and also 9 feet tall.
It's a lot of hot tea and honey. That's it.
So, I don't have any response to that. So,
hot tea and honey.
Cease and desist. News time. Sammy Watkins signs with the Ravens on a 1-year deal worth $6 million. I personally don't think this makes a dick's worth of difference for the Ravens.
It doesn't make a difference, but what I thought was weird is I saw a report like maybe 3 days before he actually signed that he signed. So I was like,
I put it out.
Did you see that too?
Yeah, because I put it out on our Instagram and I was like, wait, like I went to go double check and I was like, oh wait, no one's saying he signed except for.
Wait, that was from us?
Yes, it was probably from.
Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like I'll go look it up, and then he didn't sign. I was like, oh, that's weird. That fucking page sucks. I don't know where they get their news from. Apoda.
Anyway, receiver depth wise doesn't matter to me. I don't think he's a real true number one, so it's not like they went out and got what they were going to do or going to get. Kenny G was out there and they settled for Sammy Watkins.
I mean, Kenny Galladay was pretty committed to the Giants fairly early on, but
yeah,
I just it depends on what Sammy Watkins we get because he had some real flashes in Kansas City of being pretty good. So he might be a nice compliment to Marquise Brown, but
maybe.
It's literally completely up to me. Like we're just gonna have to sit and wait and see.
All right. Next up, Deshaun Watson watch. Wow, that was hard to get through.
More like an update, really.
It's more like an update on where his life is spiraling down to. He's now at 19 total lawsuits.
Yeah.
What? Reiterate.
Woof.
Woof.
That man's going to prison.
You know,
or
like when I'm scrolling through Twitter or whatever and watching that clip of him and his girlfriend after a game at Clemson, that just like it was such a wholesome clip. And now looking at it, it's like, ooh.
You're talking about the handshake clip, right?
Yeah, the handshake clip. Yeah.
That, and then I guess in his pro day, not pro day, his pre-draft evaluations, when they ask you like weird questions or whatever.
Yeah.
One that wasn't so weird was like, When we say woman, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? He's like, respect. Yeah.
Hold on,
My
let me just
Respect
Yeah.
of Deshaun Watson.
Are you just gonna keep doing the Ford F-150 voice the entire episode?
Apparently.
It was like a little higher pitch, you know. I kind of stuck on it now. I'm still waking up here. Come on, I haven't had my morning coffee.
Ford F-150, because someone's got to put money on this table.
Oh, yo, Ford F-150 sponsor us. Not Ford, just the one truck. Pro days, full swing. We already saw Zach Wilson whipping the ball around, doing that crossbody. It was great. He looked very good. Ohio and Alabama are today, Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What day is it? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
I forgot what day it was. Today,
Super Tuesday, bitch.
It's just
No.
average Tuesday.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just decent.
Standard Tuesday.
They're in full effect. So I want to talk and transition this into the 49ers news because that was the biggest thing to happen, which we've already touched on a bit. But allegedly,
Hi, I'm James. I think the 49ers are going to be a quarterback.
Oh, do you want to get back down again? You got cornered.
I'm all set.
Apparently, John Lynch, maybe he sent scouts. I thought he was going personally to, he was going to Alabama's pro day. So it's smokescreen season still in full effect. Because now everyone's talking about them, Sean, your team, potentially taking Mac Jones over Justin Fields / Zach Wilson.
Or Trey Lance.
I think that's very bizarre. I mean, yes, I've heard all the talk about Mac Jones, and while I'm cool with it because he is a quarterback that I think will play at a very high level right away, there's no reason to jump to 3 for him.
No.
I think that's a super high jump.
No, I think you could have snagged him where you were.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or if anything, maybe move up 4 or 5 spots. So unless they are so high on him that it's like they have to get their guy by hook or by crook, if you will. I think going up that high is a little weird for him, but I mean, if they love him, fine, grab him. But I don't see why you would waste all that draft capital for the future to move up to the 3 pick. That's the thing that gets me the most. That you have now no first round picks for the next 2 years after this.
So let's touch on that real quick. Let's talk about the details of what happened for this trade, and then we'll get into that a little bit more. The Dolphins ended up trading off their number 3 pick to the 49ers. 49ers send over the 12th overall.
Mm-hmm.
So they swap picks in the first, a 2021 third, and then 2 more first round picks in 2022 and 2023, which later on they would end up trading with Philly in another awful deal. But we're going to push past that and we're going to focus on the 49ers aspect of this, because I've already said this. If you're going to send away 3 first round picks and move up into that top 3, you know your guy is there. You know that your team doesn't have any holes to fill that would be fixed in a first round pick for the next 2 years. You're getting your guy that's going to push you back into the Super Bowl.
Right. I agree with you. And the reason I would also say it's not going to be anything else other than a quarterback is just with the youth that the 49ers have with Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Bosa, Fred Warner, all those guys have to get paid. So where do you start saving? Got to be quarterback.
This is true. I mean, you'll remove Jimmy's contract. You end up opening a lot of space. But how do you feel about that as a fan? I mean, Jimmy G has a weird place in a lot of 49ers fans' hearts from what I'm seeing through comments and DMing.
I have personally always been behind him, but the fact is he does not stay healthy. And no matter what, that's always going to ruin not only the team, but him as a quarterback and his own personal development. Like, if he'd not been injured and had worked in Kyle Shanahan's offense for 4 years, he could be outstanding right now. And yet you have a guy who's in 1 year, out the next, in for 3 games, out another year,
Mhm.
Super Bowl run, out again. Like it's ridiculous.
What do you mean? You don't like CJ Beathard playing every other game for you?
I love that guy.
Dude, he's in Jacksonville now.
I know. Him
Alright.
and Minshew together just seems like such a great hair day.
It seems like they just paired two backup quarterbacks waiting for Trevor Lawrence, but yeah.
So I think when we bring it down to the matter is the 49ers, exactly like you guys just said, truthfully feel that the biggest thing to fix their team is a quarterback right now.
Mhm.
And once they fill that hole, which they don't really have a hole, but we can go into, I mean, we already did about Jimmy staying healthy and all this. They think that they can make it as far as they can make it with just a quarterback. They do have a young offense. They have a young defense.
Well, it's not just a quarterback. It's, getting a young quarterback into that system, getting ready to absorb and learn, and having your team back healthy, because 75% of the 49ers roster was injured last year. So that's a big thing that you're counting on is the team coming back to what they were that Super Bowl year and finding a new guy to lead it, because you can't deal with the inconsistency that Jimmy Garoppolo provides with his health at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I mean is they're looking for a leader. And I think they're counting on everyone staying healthy, because you wouldn't shell out 3 years of picks if you don't think that everything can be fixed. Right. I mean, they're expecting to at least make it far in the playoffs, so they don't have a top 10 pick next year, because why sell out for third?
Right.
Yeah, that would be the worst case scenario, would be ending up with the top 10 pick that you no longer have yet.
Imagine. That would be terrible.
So let's transition this. Let's talk about the 49ers and their offseason, because obviously I think everyone but Zach thinks they're going to go with a quarterback. Zach is still going to ride the train.
I just think, honestly, most GMs are just really dumb. That's my point. Even look at Belichick. Belichick's just not a smart GM.
I got more faith in Lynch than that, but
I understand that, but I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it.
So the biggest, I don't know how to respond to you. So I'm just gonna
you don't have to. That's just me quoting.
The biggest issue for y'all last year, Sean, were injuries.
Oh yeah,
injuries. And then guess what? Injuries.
Big time.
You mentioned injuries.
Oh yeah, and also injuries. So
I think they even had a few injuries.
Obviously with Bosa out, that limits you huge on the edge. He's been your guy.
Yep.
God, I can't even think of the rest of them. No,
D Ford was also out again. For most of the year.
Right.
Or all of the year, but he was also out the year prior to that. So he makes me mad. Richard Sherman was out. Deebo Samuel was out. Kittle was out. Garoppolo, Mostert. I could go down the line. It just makes me mad.
The Mostert one was funny because it just kind of kept, not really, but it just kind of kept stacking to the next running back down getting injured, and then so on and so forth. Because I can't think of what his name is, but you had some rookie running back going for a while.
Jermichael Hasty.
Jermichael Hasty, and I was big on him. I'm like, yes, love him, play him, go get him in fantasy. And then he went down. Priority one should be finding a way to make sure your players can stay healthy this offseason, whether that's looking at stuff that happened, regiments. Injuries.
Maybe go find a new training staff.
I was gonna say, can you fire the strength and conditioning people? I feel like that's a good one.
Yeah. That would probably be the place to start in my mind.
Then the other thing was, I think I want to say Deebo Samuel's problem was he kept having hamstring cramps. Can we fire the water boy? I think there should be something on the sideline constantly with water.
Need to increase the hydration propensity of the team.
The 49ers signed Bobby Boucher.
I was literally just about to say that. Yep.
Priority one now in the offseason. Go get Bobby Boucher. He's out there.
Absolutely. So
with that, obviously, you get a lot of defensive players back, a lot of a healthy offense.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully. I don't see any way that you don't end up pushing forward back through the playoffs. I don't see how the 49ers don't become a contender again.
I mean, essentially, we would be pretty close to the same team. And when they were still down at the number 12 pick, I was hoping for cornerback more than anything. They need a corner desperately, but I guess they have someone maybe they like in the second round that they figured they, could push that aside and address quarterback first. I don't know. But they definitely need some depth at corner. And here's something that I would love to see happen. It won't, because Richard Sherman has already said I'm out. They said I'm not coming back. We're kind of mutually parting ways. He hasn't been signed by anybody yet.
Yeah.
But I would love it if he doesn't get signed by anyone and they were just able to transition him from cornerback to strong safety. That's my dream. He's not that fast anymore, but he's still the smartest guy on the field at all times. And if he's closer to the quarterback of the other team, and he's got to look at Richard Sherman's eyes the entire time, that's going to terrify any quarterback in the league. So I'd love to see that happen, but it won't. That's my take.
I wouldn't hate that, honestly. I mean, you've seen players do it recently. Logan Ryan did it, 2 years ago before he signed with the Giants? So it's a possibility, especially with an older player and a player, like you said, who is arguably the most intelligent defensive back we've seen this generation. So it'd be cool. I will say I liked that you signed Jason Verrett back on that 1-year deal.
Yes, big time.
When
he earned it.
Absolutely. I mean, he had a baller year last year. I mean, his story, which was weird, he wasn't the injured one last year.
I know.
His story has been injuries his entire time in San Fran. But when he is on the field, he's an animal.
Yep. I mean, his numbers against DeAndre Hopkins in that second game against Arizona were just beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's so good to see. In addition to that re-signing, my other two big deals y'all made, getting Trent Williams locked down, although none of us, we've talked about this. I want to get your thoughts. I think he's going to play out that entire, 6
years. Yeah. They also loaded it heavy on the back end, which kind of just makes me feel like, all right, so we're getting him on the cheaper side in the first couple of years and we can do something with him later. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a trend that you've seen with a lot of teams this year with the lower cap. Everyone's backloading deals, and a lot of players that you can see getting cut, 2 or 3 years into a deal, even though there's a lot of money on that back end.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see him stick around like they had Joe Staley forever. That was just a nice presence to have on the line that entire time. It'd be nice to see. Do I expect it? Probably not.
Fair. I will say another veteran piece you acquired that I loved because, originally Cleveland guy, but Alex Mack.
Yeah.
Down the center. That's freaking stellar.
God knows we needed that too because we had zero consistent center play for the last, I want to say 2 seasons maybe. So
you would know better than I on that. It's great to see a GM go out and get Alex Mack to pair with and really solidify your line though, because it doesn't matter at that point. You could still, at that point, before the trade, you could have kept Jimmy and been fine as long as he has protection like that.
Right.
And I think the offensive line signings are super important because you lost a couple pieces on the offensive line this season as well. So I think it's awesome that you're able to go out and kind of just refresh right away. Didn't have to really deal sitting back and waiting for development or anything like that. So good moves.
Definitely.
So Sean, with this 3rd overall pick, we're already pretty much committed to saying it's a quarterback unless you're Zach.
Yes, that is me.
Gonna keep hammering that one home.
That's fine.
Have you done any research on who you would want at that pick since this all transpired?
I mean, it's weird because I do like Mac Jones a lot. I don't like him at number 3, but I like what coaches say about him. I like the fact that again he's an intellectual. He loves over preparing for games. Mm-hmm. I'm very into that. I like to have a guy who's got his head about him in the game. But personally, would I like to see someone with a little more mobility, a little more kind of pizzazz, if you will. Would like that. A little pizzazz. That's how you know I'm 80. These words like pizzazz.
See that in someone's scouting report at some point. It's just pizzazz.
I have this strange theory that it's actually going to be Zach Wilson, and that the Jets do not draft him. I have this weird feeling that why would you move up to 3 unless you knew you were going to get who you really wanted? And I think because it all lined up with Zach Wilson's pro day when the trade was made, and because people from the 49ers and Robert Saleh, now the Jets coach, were there the same day. Could have been some talks about like who you grabbing. I don't know. That's how I feel. I think it could be Zach Wilson. Do I doubt it? Yes, but I think it could be.
I mean, I think it's almost a lock for him to go to New York, but I would love him in either situation. I think if you flip the 2 and the 3, they're pretty much interchangeable. Justin Fields, I've seen more in the spotlight. Obviously, he's played at one of the biggest college schools. So when you see him in the playoffs, you see that like composure, that kind of that kept him on pace with Trevor Lawrence for so long, where they're going to step into the spotlight and they're going to ball. But obviously, he had a regression year in 2020. Zach Wilson had the opposite and jumped up 1,000 yards and 23 catches, 23 touchdowns, I think, while cutting out 3 interceptions. You're really not losing with either one of them. I'll tell you that much.
No, I agree. I don't watch college football all that much, but I've watched a ton of just highlight reels and tape of all of these guys just to kind of get myself excited for it. They all look awesome. But
it's so much fun.
I'm not going to be too worried. I feel like whoever Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch wants, they're going to coach him up real well, and it's going to work nicely.
Chris, Drew, Zach, want to hear your thoughts? Because we talked about quarterback. Actually, Drew wasn't there for it, but we talked about quarterback v. Zach thinking they're going to get a receiver because he's an idiot. I want to hear what you guys think on the left side of the screen here.
Is that me?
That is.
I'm on the right side of the screen.
I can tell you it's not me because no one wants to hear my opinion after that one.
Well, last receiver to get drafted top 3 was Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, that's true. He went number 2
I know, but it's a
hey,
weird
you want to
argument.
know what's funny? You know who went number 1 overall in that draft? A quarterback. You want to know what his fucking name was? Jamarcus Russell. So suck my dick.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that I agree with you. I think there's really no losing if they are looking for a quarterback, which it very much appears that they are, despite Zach. I think that, yeah, whoever's there at 3, be it Fields or Wilson, or if they really want Mac Jones, again, I agree that that's too high for him, I think. But whoever you end up with is going into a good situation with a retooled offensive line and weapons that, if they can stay healthy, are absolutely phenomenal. So I think it's kind of a win-win other than losing your draft picks for the next couple of years. But it's a great spot.
Zachary?
Yeah.
Please say your
case.
I
mean, listen, I understand selling your future, and it doesn't make sense to go out and get a guy like Jamar Chase or Kyle Pitts at the 3 if you're, I get it. I understand that.
Zach,
but
no one's calling you out except for everyone.
Literally everyone has called me out so far in this episode at least 3 times. But that's
Idiot.
fine. It doesn't make sense for someone to do that. I get that. But honestly, do I have faith that John Lynch is going to make the right decision? No, which is why I think they're going to go out and get a weapon and try and make it work with Jimmy Garoppolo. I understand the smokescreen season, whatever. Fuck that shit. I'm playing the opposite end. I'm playing devil's advocate on this because I think that he's going to go out and try and get a weapon because, again, you have a team that made the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they came up short, obviously, on a comeback from Kansas City, but that's still a team that can win a Super Bowl, even with Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's my case.
I just can't imagine selling out 3 years to get a fucking wide receiver.
I
that
can't.
you could
I
have
can't
got
either.
at
I can't either. I
6
don't understand it,
or
but
12.
that's just where my gut's going. So it's colon check season, baby.
Colon check
Cut,
season.
baby.
This is the deep
Colon
cuts.
cut.
You know that.
Uh-huh.
Beauregard,
Dear
sponsor
God.
us.
Throwback.
God.
So
Yeah, colon season.
my issue, the more I look at mock drafts, the more I look at the rankings of the quarterbacks. I mean, there's 100% chance Trevor Lawrence is gone by the time we get to 3.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even consider that a chance. It's not a 100% chance. It's a
Let me
100%
go down the list.
certainty that
Oh,
he's
yeah.
gone.
You don't even deserve to
Gone.
talk in this. Get out of here.
It's my lock
So,
and thing.
Yeah, all
Our
right. At least I
next
didn't say
is-
Derrick
this is
Henry
a-
wasn't going to get 300 carries. Under 300 carries. Fuck you, James. That's right.
We're
That's
not gonna
right.
get into this.
Hey,
We're not gonna get
it's
into
Chris's time to talk.
that. Chris's time.
Zip
He has to
your
talk.
lips.
Zach.
So, I mean, we're almost positive Zach Wilson goes to the Jets. So that leaves you with Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones. Now, the problem I have is they have the CBS mock draft has Justin Fields, and I agree it will probably be Justin Fields. But, like, why at 3rd? No one else was. I mean, the Falcons may have taken Fields
Falcons absolutely.
But
would.
you-
Oh, 100%.
over
Oh.
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I guess that's it. But they could have got another quarterback at 6 or 12. I don't think it would have been as good.
They couldn't have
Fields is
got
the guy. Probably not, but maybe.
They have Mac Jones at 15 here. So, like, if you're deciding between Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields, you would have had an option at 12. So I think it's just a bold move to sell out 3 years, but I think it's going to be Justin Fields. I don't see why they wouldn't, but,
I'll
we'll just have to wait and find out.
I'll build off your statement before we move on. I think moving up to 3 gives them like the option to take anyone they want, right?
Mhm.
Because if you're sitting still with, what was it, 12 before we talked about? If you're sitting with the 12 overall, it's like, all right, well, we can get whoever's left, which is probably Mac Jones. But if we're at 3, we now have the option to take the best available, which we've said Justin Fields. Or
They
if
have
I-
3 options compared to 1,
Exactly.
or potentially none.
And then if they don't want that one option, then they have to wait till the 2nd and try to get somebody there. And then if they don't get there, it's just an infinite
Exactly.
cycle.
Then they're stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo.
I wouldn't say stuck. They have Jimmy
Then they're
Garoppolo.
stuck with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
with his health concerns, stuck is an
Yeah.
inappropriate word, Drew. Thank you.
100%. Thank you.
so I forgot to
Shut
say
up,
the theme
Zach.
of this episode was the frontiers of America. Because we have the 49ers. We're going to naturally transition into the
It's the
Cowboys.
geriatrics episode, James. Come
Or
on.
geriatrics. Or like cool in the 90s.
Yeah.
Were the Vikings
we're gonna-
cool in the 90s, though?
I don't know. I wasn't
Mm.
alive. I was 5.
Okay, maybe because of Randy Moss. So
Randy
I'll give you
Moss.
that one. Randy
Big
Moss, yeah. Yeah, and Dante Culpepper. There you go.
Fuck you. That's 5. I got actually, no, I would have only been 4 by the end of the 90s. Anyway, Zach. Biggest issue, once again, injuries for the Cowboys, but it was just one fat injury, and it was Dak Prescott, who was on fire before then, competing to try to get a contract, surprised they even gave him, surprised they even gave him that solid of a deal with that big of a guarantee. I mean, it was what, 4 years, 160 and 66 at signing.
Yeah, I think like 120 something million of it's guaranteed.
I know right now that does something for their cap. I'm not going to pretend to understand how the salary cap works, because after this year, I have less of an idea after the Saints have almost like cleared out and come back. Anyway, they need defense. Need it. That was their big shining issue. Even when their offense was on fire, I said this, I thought they should have been an 0-5 team at that point, not a 1-4. They signed Keanu Neil, which I actually like a lot. It's only a 1-year deal. I think it's another $6 million or something like that. But he's still young. He was still good in the Falcon system. Anyone have thoughts on Keanu Neil before?
Oh, he's definitely a solid safety. He performed well on that Atlanta Super Bowl defense for a while. Again, injuries.
Yep.
He hasn't really been on the field as much as he should have been. But when he is, he's a presence. He's definitely a guy that can help turn a defense around. And if there is a defense that needs to turn around in the NFL, it is the Cowboys. So
It is absolutely the Cowboys.
yeah.
And then another name they've been floating around with on the safety side is Malik Hooker, who missed time last year because I know the Browns were connected to him for a bit, but he tore his Achilles. Is coming back from that. Another guy who's still relatively young could pair up in safety and help them stop that porous defense.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really have a lot to talk about with the Cowboys. I don't know if you guys have anything. I think the offense is electric. I think re-signing Dak was great. Sean, I want to hear actually your thoughts because of the 90s rivalry and if you still have any bad blood towards the Cowboys.
Oddly enough, so being an 80-year-old man and
Right.
somehow growing up in the 90s, I kind of enjoyed watching the Cowboys as well, like seeing Smith and Troy Aikman. That was a fun time. And then I was always a 49ers fan, but I enjoyed watching both teams. I don't know if I was necessarily cognizant of the rivalry at that age,
right?
Until later, and then looking back, I'm like, wow, they were serious rivals. My whole hatred of the Dallas Cowboys is the complete ruination of my fantasy team this year because Dak Prescott was my quarterback, and of course he got injured a week or two after my RB1 Saquon Barkley.
Ooh.
And that was the end. That was it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. Sorry. Listen, Sean, I got a question. I got a question for you later. So I just want to put this on the table now. All right, I got a question for you later.
Okay, that's
you're gonna state you have a question for him later.
You're just
we're in the middle of the Cowboys thing. It's an off
later.
It's an off thing. It's an off question. I'll ask him later. It's fine.
So interested.
How is that weird? I was just thinking about it.
I'm thinking about you.
Oh shit!
Transition.
What it do, baby girl?
Cowboys ended up having
what it do?
God, strike me down, smite me. The Cowboys ended up finishing with the 10th overall pick in this year's. I'm gonna kill you, Chris. Draft. I don't see any way they don't go with one of the top cornerbacks with that move. If Caleb Farley's there, I would say they go with him. If not, Drew. I mean, Chris, we've beaten this to a pulp. Zach, I'm sure you've heard it too. But J.C. Horn, if he's there, get him. He's my favorite corner in the draft. That's going to go a little bit later in the first, but still a first-round talent. Either way, get defensive back help. Get a linebacker later because Leighton Vander Esch is a ticking time bomb.
That's really sad.
It is. Remember that first year when we were like,
oh my God, he was so good.
His neck just disintegrated over 2 years. Oh, boy. Where do we see them finishing now in the NFC East? Do we see the Cowboys flipping this whole thing around? Because the NFC East so far has made wow, that was quick. A lot of the teams in the NFC East have made big-time moves.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
there's a chance they make wild card. Not much further.
I think that's kind of where they live and die.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cowboys in the 2000s plus.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like out of any of the teams, in the NFC East, I feel like, they didn't have to make a lot of moves to win that division, to be completely honest with you. Like, Washington still doesn't have a quarterback.
Hey, don't you doubt Fitzception over there.
Fitzception?
X.
Defies all logic.
He defies all logic for 3 games and then shits the bed.
Great. He's wonderful. I love that.
They still they're gonna get another quarterback. They're not gonna just start Ryan Fitzpatrick and hope.
Dude, they're
everything
running
works.
with Fitzmagic and Heineke. That's how it's rolling.
Oh God, I really hope they don't. That's gonna suck. But anyways,
I think they should. Heineke's a baller.
Hell yeah.
I think Dallas has enough talent just before making any of these moves to win the division. Doesn't mean they're going to because that defense is terrible, but Yeah, I mean, at least not the Eagles.
Definitely not the Eagles. No.
Yeah.
Okay, well, besides the Eagles, I mean the Giants.
No.
like we said,
No.
I don't think Daniel Jones is
No.
the guy. I think they need a QB to compete.
Are we talking about who's knocking the Cowboys out?
who could?
No, we're
potentially-
just talking about who you think is going to win the NFC East, and it's between Dallas and Washington. But I don't know.
It's Washington.
Thank you.
I mean, with Washington's defense, I still think it's Washington, but we'll see.
I honestly, with the Cowboys, I think they shoot themselves in the foot time and time again, where something happened in the season and they just do not recover.
I mean,
They fucked
losing your
themselves up.
quarterback to an ankle that went the wrong way is kind of out
They
of your
were 1-4
control.
at that point, and with the offense that was putting up historic numbers.
Right, but we're gonna go back to this. It's the defense that was the issue.
100% the defense.
Yeah, but then you fix the defense periodically, and the offense, granted, they're without Dak Prescott, can't find a stride at all, and then the defense shits the bed again. So it's like a never-ending cycle for the Cowboys. They just can never find their stride, and then when
I
they
think
do
it's
find
gonna
it,
take
they
a
lose
year or two at least to build up that defense to being competitive. So I think that they're stuck with a very good offense as long as everyone's healthy, and a defense that's on its way to becoming something if they play their cards right. So they're in a real tough spot. They got to do the right things with that defense, and if not, Dallas is going to be stuck in limbo for the rest of the term.
They should just essentially draft entirely defensive players, and if they don't across the board, they've failed.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, that's the thing. They don't need to draft anybody on offense. Their offensive line is still stacked. They don't need running back. They don't need a quarterback. They don't need wide receiver. So why are they going to draft offense?
That's the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I will
well, that's
allow
fair.
the Cowboys one tight end. That's all they get.
Zach,
Okay,
that's
that's
where
fine.
I would agree with you about GMs being real stupid. That's where.
James, you
I'm
have
just-
them
yeah.
taking Horn at 10.
Potentially. I've seen Horn bouncing around. He can be anywhere from like 9 to 23 in drafts.
Not Patrick Surtain, the second.
No, I think Surtain's going to be gone by then, to be honest. I think he's increased his draft stock too much.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, I'm interested in that. Who do you think's going to take him?
I was looking at it already. Well, now we're going to have to fucking edit more. Thanks, Chris.
Why?
All right. Stall.
I could see Atlanta if no quarterbacks are available. I could see Detroit to lock down with not Ibahagane.
Jeff
Oh my
Okuda.
God, Jeff Okuda. I could see Carolina, but I doubt they're going to have that pick. I could see Denver.
I think Carolina's going quarterback, but that's besides.
I think
the
they
point.
have to,
Yeah,
honestly.
they really do.
But
It's PJ Walker time, baby.
So I have Denver taking Micah Parsons here.
yeah,
And
that's
I-
so. See, Micah Parsons is the biggest like pivot point in this draft because he was a top 5 talent, and then they were like, well, he's got character issues. He's kind of a shithead, so he's fallen down everywhere from like I think his floor has been 20. I've seen. I don't think he gets past the Patriots at 15, but he could very easily fall around there. He went from 5 to 15. I'll give it the median at that.
I gotcha.
So-
And I also have Detroit taking Waddle here because they do need wide receiver help.
So dumb.
So I
Calvin
don't think
Johnson.
Detroit goes for the defensive
It's a
side.
new era too. I mean, I don't know. We could talk about that in our mock draft show whenever we do that. Past the top 5, it's very questionable. Or top 4, I guess. Very questionable now.
Mm.
So we'll move on though. We'll talk about someone sitting kind of in the middle. Actually, not kind of, almost directly. The Vikings with the 14th overall pick. The Bears ended up sneaking into the playoffs ahead of them because of that hot start. Vikings. Drew, do you mind?
Yes.
The Vikings competed. They came down to the wire, but it just was not enough. And it kind of showed they were an aging team that couldn't hold on for an entire year, didn't have the stamina to keep going anymore. So they cut a lot of those older players, Dan Bailey, Kyle Rudolph, and Anthony Harris, actually. three big names to leave a aging system, like I said, an aging offense and defense that needs to have a lot of work done to it.
But they brought in PP.
Thank you, Chris. They brought in Patrick Peterson to try to fill that Anthony Harris gap somewhat, but I don't know if that locks it down enough.
He'll be good as long as he's not expected to be the number one guy.
Well, they do have Cam Dantzler, I think, was the kid they drafted, who's been a star at safety. So we'll see what ends up happening with him if he continues it in year 2. I don't think bringing in Patrick Peterson fixes anything on their side of aging, though.
No, it's not bad. Again, they need to find someone that's going to cover the number one receiver the majority of the time. I don't know where they're going to get that, but they have a Patrick Peterson.
They have a Patrick Peterson. They also have someone that should have been the rookie of the year.
Yep.
JJ.
Should have been.
Got robbed, although shout out J Herb because he had a great year. So the offense, I would have to say, on my weapon side, they're in the same situation. They are fine. They don't need a tight end. They don't need receivers. They don't need a running back. Quarterback is good for now. Offensive line's a big question mark, though.
Yes.
Drew.
Yeah, but I mean, that's relying on, is Kirk the guy? He's been the guy, but they really haven't made it, you know?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something after that. Yeah,
I can't think of the words.
That's fine. It's early for you.
You like that?
You like that.
Huh?
So Drew, as our Packers fan, Sean, as our, oh my God, I almost said Saints fan. I'm so sorry. 49ers fan, dealing with this on the NFC side, do the Vikings concern you still? Or is this a team you look at and are like, whoa, especially with Drew playing them twice a year?
Yeah, I think that for them to be a worry, they still have to make some significant defensive improvements. Like, as, again, a Packers fan, they don't have anyone to cover Devontae Adams right now. Straight up. Mm-hmm. So, not really worried. They have to work on the defensive line a little bit again. Getting Danielle Hunter secured is huge. So, got to work on that. And the linebacking core with Kendricks and stuff has always been good, but they need another young piece in there to kind of float around that defense. And it's I'm not worried about it yet. Their offense is a little scary. I'm not going to lie. I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than he gets credit for a lot of the time. Mm-hmm. And Dalvin Cook is terrifying, straight up, especially for a Packers defense that has no idea how to stop a dude with a football in his hands. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of work to be done. They're kind of in that same situation as the Cowboys, like we said, with the electric offense at times and a defense that just can't keep up and can't keep games close enough for them to be able to come out on top. So,
when you have to play the Vikings as a Packers fan, are you worried about Kirk?
Sean's a 49ers fan.
No,
he's talking to you, Drew.
I just said Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than he gets credit for. So, yeah, and especially with the weapons he has around him, I am.
And so, unintentionally, Sean, this perfectly transitions to you because I didn't realize the Niners play the Vikings this year.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby. They are going to Levi Stadium, though. So, is this something you're going to be looking forward to or looking at and thinking like, you can write off some games. You look at it. I mean, I thought I could write off the Jets game as a Browns fan, but kill me. There's some games you write off, some games you have to actually look more into before you can actually make a educated guess. With the Vikings, are they an educated guess team? Did you get what I'm trying to say with that?
I think I see what you're saying. I mean, obviously, like Drew was saying, they are offensively stacked, and that's scary because the defense has to deal with that for a long time. And, towards the end of the game, everyone gets friggin' tired. So it's not ideal, especially with the 49ers defensive back situation as it is currently. We still need a little more depth there, a little more fresh legs going in. But pulled up some stats.
Ooh.
Because I'm 80, and it's something you need to do when you're 80 years old because you forget these things. Vikings just cannot get to the quarterback. They had 23 sacks last year.
That's
and
brutal.
to put that in perspective, the Dallas Cowboys, with their absolutely shitty defense, had 31. So if they don't get to the quarterback, then that's the ability to just the 49ers could win a shootout. That's not something to worry about. You're not going to rattle the opposing team if you can't get pressures on a quarterback or sacks.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's my big take. 23 sacks in 2020. It's piss poor.
So let me ask you this then, because they have a very questionable offensive line, like I've said. Do you think getting someone else as an edge rusher in the first round would favor their defense more? Or their
totally.
More? Okay, so you would push getting more linemen to later on.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. Okay. With that in mind, I'm going to agree with Sean because I've seen Elijah Vera Tucker floating around to them. I don't buy into that. Another name we've talked about heavily, another name that's bounced around the later parts. But Gregory Rousseau, who is just a huge human being with like disgustingly big hands, coming out of the edge out of Miami, would be stellar pairing up with Hunter.
I've seen Kwity Paye too. Is that his name?
Kwity Paye?
Yeah. I've seen him going to the Vikings in mock drafts as well. So
it's all over the board.
Yeah, it really is.
They do.
But I feel like the consensus is they're gonna go someone on the line or the edge.
I think they have to.
Yeah, I mean they really do. I mean you have the 14th overall pick. You get a game changer on the defense. You don't need that game changer on offense. You have that game changer in Justin Jefferson. So
and Dalvin Cook.
Oh, and Dalvin Cook obviously, but I was thinking more wide receiver because there's no running. I don't think there's any running backs going in the top 15.
No, but any offensive anything.
Maybe.
James,
I doubt it, but maybe.
Yeah.
You never know. Unless someone has a really good pro day, but even then. Actually, no, Najee's not even doing his pro day. Never mind.
What about Travis
Etienne?
He already had his, right?
Doesn't go. Yeah, no, he already had his. That's true because he weighed in at like 210. It was like 4.3 something, or maybe we were in like a 4. Yeah, I think it was early 4.3.
That's fast.
Yeah, but not fast enough to knock you into a top 15 pick.
No.
So Rousseau is my pick. You've said Kwity Paye. Drew, Chris, any thoughts?
I think Rousseau is the clear choice if he's there. So that line.
I have Rousseau going at pick 11 to the Giants here. I'm just reading off the mock draft to try because I don't understand where they're gonna.
Right. I mean, you don't really watch. Like, I'm not saying it is slight to you, but you don't watch college football, so these names are just names.
How fucking dare you? Yeah, exactly. So if this is my best way to relate to it, but I have Slater going to the Vikings here at 14. So I guess it all depends where everyone ends up.
So you think they go offensive line then?
I think that's their best bet. I don't know why you wouldn't anyways. They do need that offense fixed. Well, that offensive line.
Well, Rashawn Slater's a big boy. He's a big dude. Yeah. That's a lot of
6'3", 305. Yes.
That is my height with like 100 extra pounds.
That's a pancake machine right there. It's a pancake machine.
Oh yeah. But I still gotta agree. I think the Vikings are in a position where defense should be their priority, like the Cowboys. It should be defense, and then maybe get an offensive line and then more defense.
So I guess if any, defenders end up falling to their pick, then take it. They could take. I'm trying to see.
Well, I mean, I guess if we're talking, if we're still talking defense, any of those edge rushers, but you could get, a guy like Zaven Collins or Micah Parsons who fall to that 15, and they could go linebacker, like Drew said. Their linebacking core could use a infusion of young talent. You could go and get a guy like that too. So I mean, they have a ton of options. I think the Vikings have a good spot. They're probably going to go out and get a defensive player, and I think, depending on who they pick, they're going to get good talent from that. So.
All right, last question on the Vikings before we move on. This is for the class. How are we feeling about year 2 JJ? Keeping up the trend?
Regression.
Has to.
I
I
don't
see
think he's
regression.
going to be able to keep up those kind of numbers. Not that he's put the league on notice. So people are going to be watching him like a hawk. I think Adam Thielen probably sees a little bit of an uptick in production based on that, but there's no way he can stay on that track. That's crazy.
No,
Maybe
I mean,
17 games.
yeah. I mean, I just think it's the same thing, with any breakout player, you like you said, Drew, like they're on watch now. Like you know what they're gonna do, what they like to do. And until JJ can figure out what other teams are planning on doing, he's just gonna do what he does best, and teams are gonna be ready for it this year.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see that
Yeah.
taking the next step and adjusting to the adjustment on his part.
Yeah.
Sean, does JJ worry you in that matchup, considering the lack of DB?
Oh, totally. Absolutely. But I'm in agreement with the fellas here. It's going to be much harder for him because the defenses will be way more prepared for him. But, that's up to the Vikings to figure out creative ways to get him open. So I don't know. He could very well end up doing exactly what he did in 2020 and possibly surpass it as far as receptions are concerned. I don't know. Maybe he's going to be 100 reception guy. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be stellar for them too.
Yeah, in year 2, that'd be crazy. But I still think he's gonna have a good year.
Yeah.
I just wasn't. I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting him to go full-fledged wide receiver 1 last year.
Right.
I think like Drew said, Adam Thielen. You did? Oh, all right. Hey, guess what? Fuck you. I don't care. Eric Henry. I think that, like Drew said, Adam Thielen's going to have an uptick in production, especially in the red zone. I mean, Adam Thielen's a red zone machine.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I think he's going to take more of the share of, in between the 20s from Justin Jefferson and still have that red zone threat. So.
Agreed.
One thing I think we can all agree on, I know Zach's pumped about this, but it's Irv Smith season, baby.
Irv.
I'm pumped to see what he can finally do, being out of Kyle Rudolph's shadow.
Yes, finally, they're going to actually make tight end a priority.
I know he could actually take away a lot of those red zone touches from Thielen or reception.
See, I don't see that happening. I just think that I don't know. I think Irv's going to be in between the 20s kind of guy too.
No.
Yeah.
I disagree with you. I just didn't have anything to counter you. So
that's fine.
No.
That's fine. I don't think he's going to take away. I mean, he's probably still going to be big in the red zone, but I don't think he's going to take anything away from Adam Thielen. Because I just think Adam Thielen is too good of a player in the red zone to not, still warrant getting wide receiver 2 action, especially with touchdown. He's a very heavy touchdown dependent player. But at least for last year, I know the 2 years before that he was receptions and yards with a couple of touchdowns with him and Diggs going on. But anyways, yeah, Irv Smith.
Awesome. Well, I think that's the show. That is the teams we had slated for today.
We did.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us. If there's anything you'd like to, what's up, Zach?
I have that question. I saved that question. Remember. All right. So I've never actually had the chance to talk to a 49ers fan before, and I know this is going to be asinine, but how do you feel about drafting Giovanni Carmazzi before Tom Brady?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Sean?
The funny thing is I actually fell into a YouTube hole the other night and ended up watching
the Brady 6.
Yeah, exactly. And just I don't really remember him all that much, but then I saw some things that were just reliving it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's terrible.
Yeah.
But what a great mafioso name. Let's talk about the guy you want to go to for a favor, but not for a touchdown pass.
Giovanni Carmazzi.
That guy makes a great eggplant rollatini. Got it.
Love that. Well, yeah, I was just curious because I obviously, you having watched that, I watched that, and Brady was a 49ers fan. He wanted to go to the 49ers. And it's just crazy how, not only did they pass him up, but like the Steelers who took what's his name?
Yeah.
He was actually Peyton Manning's replacement at Tennessee, but I forget his name. And then obviously Chad Pennington went before Brady, but all that kind of stuff. But the 49ers one was especially crazy because like he was a 49ers fan and they knew about him and they didn't take him. And obviously,
you want to talk about another quarterback that was a 49ers fan that didn't get drafted by the 49ers.
Yeah.
That year that you guys thought Alex Smith was better than Aaron Rodgers was fun.
Hey, well, I mean,
third time's the charm.
Not to knock your boys, but we always beat them in the playoffs anyway, so who cares?
Most of the time, but that was with Colin Kaepernick. That was unfair. He was ridiculous.
Yeah,
he was
true.
real good.
We beat you with piece of shit Jimmy G too.
Well, yeah, but that's.
I mean, technically, we beat you with Raheem Mostert, but
that's because the Packers defense again has no idea what to do when you hand the ball off.
Just hand the ball to an offensive lineman and call it a game.
Yeah, they'll still rush for 40 yards on that play.
Yeah,
dude, I like how this one question turned into shitting on Sean for San Francisco's like draft sins.
Well, it's even more current than just that. When you think, what's it like, 2017, we pick up Solomon Thomas with the third pick. He's gone now, but we could have picked Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. Oops.
True.
Deshaun Watson's not looking so great now. But,
right. I mean, that's off the field stuff. On the field stuff, he's electric. But I think
field stuff matters too, man.
No, I understand that, but it wasn't known at the time. You know what I mean?
Why do you think Solomon Thomas isn't there anymore?
I don't know. He's just bad.
Yeah.
He's just not good.
But anyways, what I'm trying to say is let's take a look at the 49ers draft history and please explain to me why we think they're smart enough to actually make a right move for themselves.
I mean, it is a different front office now, so we'll see.
I have a lot of faith in John Lynch.
It is a different front office, so hopefully they make the right move. But history is not on their side, which is why my colon's telling me, go wide receiver, go Kyle Pitts.
Oh, God. All right, let's end this fucking show. Thank you, Sean, so much for joining us. If there's anything you would like to promote, you can go for it now.
Oh, wow. I'm not prepared, so no. I'm not prepared.
4150
Sean,
body wash.
Get sponsored by
it's just oil.
Plants. Get some plants, everyone. Get some house plants for your home. Breathe easy.
Good for the environment.
Yeah. We love
that. Do you drive a Ford? Do you own some plants?
Introducing a tree.
Anyway.
Well, thanks,
put
guys.
it right in the middle of your fucking house.
I'm glad you had a good time. I'm sorry ADHD takes over on occasion.
No, that's what makes it way more exciting.
It has the spice. Anyway, you know where to find us at Boda Sports, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Music, not Stitcher, because I don't know if it actually exists.
Stitcher.
Some other platform.
Drew, you missed it. I called out Stitcher last time I signed us off.
Thank you.
What are you?
Stay tuned.